the intro froze for me, so I didn't know when to open my fan. That also happens to be the same one that David has, because we did not plan that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, okay, whatever.
Kidding.
Not you getting offended by what I said before we started this podcast, and then claiming that we planned this. Anyway. Hola, that feels fitting for today. Hola, bienvenidos a The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. This morning, because it is morning for me still, it's a very early morning, I am drinking a hazelnut pumpkin iced latte, because that's what I wanted to make, and it's very delicious. And I am also wearing a cute shirt, but I'll talk about it when David does his cute shirt.
Bonjour, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to go with a very random one that I haven't worn in a while, but I do declare it's Miss Blair St. Clair. Yes. Burr.
I love that we all did it.
I am drinking, well, I have my remnant of a cherry Coke Zero, because I am the Coke Zero girly of the podcast usually.
Yes.
And, well, today I am. And today I also have a Pepsi Mango. Yes. So
those are wild.
No water.
Those are wild.
Yeah.
Those are wild. Those are wild.
One of them is warm, one of them is cold still. So I'll probably drink the
Great.
cold one more.
Yeah.
I do also love, Eduardo, that you and I did that completely in sync. Like, that was amazing. I am wearing, if you couldn't tell, because it's basically in screen, I am wearing my Fontana shirt because of Sweden, actually, honestly. And a gorgeous, lovely episode for one Swedish queen that we will talk about that is not Fontana.
Yeah, absolutely. And hello, I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I'm here to talk a lot of shit and maybe get hit. I don't know. I'm tired.
You're not gonna get hit today. I promise you, not going to get hit today.
Oh, yeah. No, today I should not be getting hit, because today is the day that I am in mourning.
Yes.
I am sad. I am depressed. Rest in peace. But I'm drinking coffee. It's still morning. So, yeah. I'm upset.
No.
I'm upset. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Well, does that face make you happier?
A little
And this
bit.
is Rock.
Yeah.
And this is Rocket.
Rocket.
He is very upset by this episode and wanted to say hi, and now he's leaving.
honestly, say that's
he's
how
running away from talking about this episode.
Yeah, that's. I can't blame Rocket for that.
I do not blame him in the slightest. Oh, at all. But yes, it is indeed episode 7 of this season. Well, Julie.
Well,
we all knew this day was coming. As soon as we found out last week that the challenge was Snatch Game, I think we all had a pretty good idea that this was the universe that we were going to be living in this week. And that's where we're at. Mm-hmm. So there are some bright spots to this episode. There are some lovely moments from this episode and all of those things. And we're going to talk about those. But before we do, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time, giving you almost all things drag. And make sure to check out the description below, where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, including early access to the Look Over Here episodes of the franchises we are currently covering. So,
and don't forget to get your merch.
And don't forget to get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug. David is the only one with one currently. But you can get yours at lanagcreations.etsy.com. Link is in the description below. And we do ship domestically within the United States, Canada, and Mexico. And we do ship internationally, so there are no excuses unless your country is currently under siege or on fire. In that case, there are some excuses. Ding. But yes, we come back into the workroom. Sawa's gone.
She is.
And I do, David, I would like to give you your moment, because you have not been on
since episode.
At all?
No, I was here for the first couple of weeks, but
Well, I would like to give you your moment to discuss the weeks that you were not here. We've been holding down the fort over here at the Global All Stars. But yeah.
Yeah.
And with that,
this is your moment. Have it.
I have some hot takes, but while the boot order of this season so far has just been very painful to watch because I've lost a lot of my loves, I do think that for the most part, the judging has been actually pretty fair. At least it hasn't been as crazy as a lot of seasons we've seen. In fact, I would say right now Philippines has more wild judging than Global All Stars. The thing is there's extra dynamics into this season that just make it feel a little ickier than it really is. But overall, I think that everybody's done fairly well. Even like a lot of the queens that have been in the bottom throughout the season, I think they've had so many high moments. So I really enjoyed it. I definitely am rooting for the queens that have not been judged by RuPaul, and maybe that's bias seeping in, but I also just really love all of those queens too. And they have this platform.
they deserve to have your bias since they clearly don't on the show.
Yeah, they clearly don't have anyone in their corner on the show, so they need someone here.
And frankly, it's all three of us and Lana, because I will say Lana, I know Lana definitely agrees with that as well. But, I do want to say, on the idea that Philippines has some crazier judging, I think I would agree with you, honestly. And I'm loving Drag Race Philippines because it's Drag Race Philippines. Like, I love it. But I think I would agree with you in a lot of ways. Because there's a couple people, like, I would say, of the people that are being favored by RuPaul, I'm just going to outwardly say it, I think Queen is being judged very fairly. I've said it almost every week. The only, and including this week, the only placement of queens that I disagree with was her being high in the ball. That's it.
Yeah.
I think Alyssa is being saved sometimes because she's Alyssa Edwards. A lot of the times it has been just because she has been safe. I talked about it. I think she should have been in the bottom two weeks in a row for me in the acting challenge, and then in the girl group challenge, I would have had her in the bottom two. But that's just me. And overall, I think Kitty has been judged pretty fairly, honestly. There are some wins I may not have given to her directly, but I think overall, I do think she's being judged somewhat fairly. It's honestly the other international queens that I feel like some of them, like, quite frankly, Nilenia should have a win. And spoiler, going into a top 7 where Nilenia is the only person without a win does not make sense to me, honestly.
So which win do you think she should have?
I would have given her the win. I would have given her the girl group win.
Oh, the girl group. Okay.
Girl group win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a definite argument for that. Yeah, for me, I think there's been mainly, when I think about it, I think there's been mainly two people that haven't always been judged very fairly, one for the positive and one for the negative. But for me, I feel like I do agree Kitty has been judged fairly a lot, but there has been times where she's had a hedge of protection from her when she really shouldn't have.
She should have been in the bottom 2 for the ball.
Yes. And then on the other side of the spectrum, I would say if there's somebody that I felt kind of got a raw end of the deal, I feel like it's Miranda, honestly.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of unavoidable with the girl group with Miranda, and we talked about it, and it's unfortunate because I do love Miranda. It just kind of sucks where the challenges fell for her.
But she could have got 2 high placements. She could.
I agree completely. I agree completely with you. And I even think a lot of the judging this week sans the winner and the bottom 2, quite honestly, the overall placements somewhat made sense for me.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it. We'll dive into it. Let's talk about them coming back into the workroom the next day. And Gala has a bit of a moment. She's getting emotional. And I really felt for her here.
Yeah.
She's getting emotional, talking about thinking about wanting to quit. Saying that she's really enjoying the process. But the inner saboteur is getting in her head. And I wanted to look at her and say, no, it's not your inner saboteur. It's the outer saboteur that is RuPaul.
Yes. Yes, she really just hasn't really been getting any sort of affirmation of like, oh, you're doing well and we like anything that you're doing. And so when you're not getting that like respect that you should be getting and you're only getting bad critiques, eventually you're just going to be like, maybe I'm just not good enough to do this. And so I absolutely understand why Gala finds herself in the situation in which she's just like, maybe I should just leave because clearly I'm like not meant to be here because they're making her feel like she's not meant to be there by the way that they're judging her and treating her, because I do feel like she should have had at least one good placement. I do agree with both of her bottom placements mostly, except for the last week. I think she should have been low instead of in the bottom two. But like it makes sense as to why she finds herself in this headspace. And I don't blame her at all for like being so vulnerable in this situation.
Yeah, and I know we all think about it, but when coming into the season, Gala had an additional challenge that nobody, like few of the other girls actually had, and that is the language barrier. Because if you had to rank them all based on who's the most fluent in English, she's definitely near the bottom. And so when you have all these comedy challenges or things where you have to memorize lines in English, like, yeah, it's going to be tougher for her. So yeah, it's a hurdle, and my heart goes out to her, especially knowing that she was in that headspace of thinking that she might want to quit. It was just very hard to watch that moment.
Yeah. And the episode doesn't do anything to uplift her in any kind of way. But other than the mini challenge, we are getting our sponsored mini challenge sponsored by Archer, which I'm going to be 100% honest, I have never heard of this dating site in my life.
I have not either.
I have the app.
Oh, good.
I don't use it. I tried it like once and I was like, nah.
I was going to ask you how you like it, but I'll take that as a no.
Nah.
I'll take that as a no. But yes, we are posing for photos for their Archer profile, with photos taken by a pit crew.
Yes.
For some reason.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Because they couldn't fly a photographer to Colombia.
Yes.
I love this is the second time we've had Sebastian be the photographer.
Right.
I think it's just a kind of funny running theme. But I actually kind of like this challenge. Like, I always like these because the girls get to write their own scripts and RuPaul reads them. So it really does show who's funny, who's not. I definitely had some standouts. I had two pretty strong standouts in this challenge. Spoiler, neither of them won the challenge. I was actually kind of surprised that Gala won it. She looked sexy, but I was not laughing at anything that she had written in her script. But for me, the standouts were Nalenia, hilarious, and Vanity Vane, whom I'm really starting to like figure out. Vanity's humor really speaks to me.
Yeah,
I've said it every damn week of this season, but I am becoming a Vanity Vane stan.
Yeah, it makes me want to go back and watch the season again.
Honestly, I kind of want to go back and watch Svadia again because, I'm like, did I just not understand her, or was the edit that bad? I'm gonna honestly, based on what I remember, I'm gonna go with the latter.
Okay.
Because she was given a bit of a villain edit on Svadia, so
even the queen didn't like her.
Yeah, even I'm like, I don't get it, but yeah. Eduardo, who were your standouts?
Well, of course, I'm biased, and immediately when Gala came out, I was like, okay, of course, she's going to win this. Because also, I immediately thought like, oh, this is kind of taking itself seriously. Because the moment that
Yeah.
Melania came out, they put this kind of like weird sound where they were like, oh, this is not good. And so I was like, oh, I thought this was funny, but clearly we're not going for funny. Clearly we're not going for funny. Okay. And then Gala came out and I was like, okay, she's got it. She's got this in the bag.
Yeah.
But if we were going funny, I do think that either Nelania or Vanity would have won it for me. Maybe Vanity, because Nelania made me a little bit uncomfortable.
That was the
I'm
point.
not even gonna lie. Yeah, I
That
know.
was the
I know
point,
that.
though,
I know
yeah.
that that's the point. But I don't like.
Can
to
I watch
find
you while you
myself-
sleep?
I don't like to find
No.
myself uncomfortable. Like I don't like. I like that.
That's fair. That's fair. I had 3 major standouts in this for me, and it was Gala, because I just think she took the challenge so literally, and I really liked that. And I think there was still a little bit of humor in it when she's acting out the laying on the couch and watching movies. It's like there was a little bit of, it's her humor in there. And it's kind of the first time this season that we've seen a little bit of a injection of her humor. And I really appreciated that. Nelenia was another big standout for me. It was creepy in just the right way. And also, while I'm here, shout out to Nelenia for following me on Twitter. I appreciate it. Thanks, girl.
Well, she been following me on Instagram.
Hey,
And I am here.
I wasn't expecting it, and I was really thrilled about it.
That's
so thanks,
awesome.
Nelly. But yeah, I thought Nelenia did really well. I think the other person, because I did like Vanities. I think the other person that stood out to me just for being dumb was Tessa. It was a simple character, but she had the suit on, and I don't love a fat suit. I'll say that much. But this felt different. No, but and that's where I was getting at. It wasn't really a fat suit. It was more just like big
Curvaceous,
breasts.
yeah.
Curvaceous woman.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite part was when the suit came out from underneath the thigh high that she had on, and you saw just a little bit of hairy leg. Favorite part. Favorite part of the entire situation. Spread eagle.
I feel like Tess is such an interesting person to have on this season because, like, okay, so we had Sasha Bell say that she cracked the code, but I feel like there's not a more studied queen than Tessa Testicle in really trying to learn, like, what makes Rue laugh. Let me try to do that, and it does not always work. It doesn't, like, even come close to working all the time. But I feel like there's things like this. I feel like she was like, I know she loves Jimbo. Let me lean into those, like, areas of Rue's sense of humor. And even with, like, we'll get into the Snatch Game, but that felt like very much like, what has been successful? Who does Rue know? Let me lean into that. So I think she's been fascinating to watch this season.
She is such a smart queen, and I don't think we got to see any of her genius and intellect on her first season because they just didn't see her.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of obstacles in Tessa's way, obviously not being from Germany. And the judges just not understanding her humor. That's why I'm so happy that she's on this season, because A, she's killing it. B, she's being recognized for her talents and for being funny and dumb and stupid. But she does everything in such a calculated, intellectual way. And I know her to be that from just having a lot of conversations with her and talking about drag and life and everything like that. And I'm so happy that the world is seeing it now, because I've known it for so long that I'm like, thank you. Everyone can finally understand the genius that I've seen in her for years. And or not years, but months, a year. I don't know. Regardless, I love her and she's incredible. So, but the winner ends up being Gala. I'm not mad at it.
Good for her.
I'm
She
not
got
mad
money.
at it in the slightest.
Yeah.
She got money. She
got,
went home with money.
Yeah, she went home with money. She went home with like 50,000 pesos. So that's something.
We'll take it.
I'll
Rocket?
take it. Yeah.
It's not
Rocket, who's your winner of the
550,000.
Who is your winner?
Well,
of the mini challenge, Rocket?
it's something.
Who's your winner?
It's a secret.
Oh, he said Gala.
Okay.
Yes.
He said Gala because he is an ally to the Mexican people. But we find out that the maxi challenge for the week is Snatch Game. Snatch Game of Love.
Throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. I don't want it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. I don't want anything to do with it. Throw it away.
I am officially over Snatch Game of Love.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I think it was a really cute concept the first couple of times they did it. And I think the concept on paper is really good. It's just tired at this point. And none of the other Snatch Game iterations for me have been as good as the original. Like, I didn't like the Snatch Summit when they did it on Canada. Snatch Family Feud on UK versus the World I thought was fine. That might be my favorite of the other iterations, but like otherwise I'm just not just give me normal Snatch Game.
Yeah, I agree. I was literally gonna say I think the only one that has truly worked was, well, at first Snatch Game of Love did work for me, but then they just kept doing it and it stopped. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse because there's less people to like volley off of. So there's just not as much interaction that can be had. And then like the only other one that really worked, as you said, was Snatch Game Family Feud, kind of. And even then,
I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, that's why I said Snatch Game Family Feud. But like that's kind of the only one that kind of worked. And even then, it wasn't a smash hit. So I just think that at this point, we need to figure something out because not only is just like Snatch Game of Love tired, Snatch Game as a whole is starting to just feel less and less funny and less important. Yeah. And it's just not hitting as usual. And so something needs to happen so that it like comes back around because clearly there's something going on with Snatch Game that people like that we're just not connecting with anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the contrarian here. I don't think that this is any more tired than regular Snatch Game. And I actually, for the most part, thought this was a pretty successful Snatch Game of Love. Like, I don't think anybody bombed. I think maybe two or three people were weaker than the rest. But for the most part, a lot of them were pretty funny. And what I do like about this format that you don't have with regular Snatch Game is, yes, there's less people, but that gives more specific interactions. Like you don't have to focus on trying to volley off of a bunch of people. And also you can really get into more type of physical humor with this because you're not constricted by a table in front of you. You can get up, you can move around without it being like too awkward. So there are like advantages to it, I think. But overall, I thought this was a pretty good Snatch Game of Love, personally.
I think it was a pretty good Snatch Game of Love on this season. I'm just tired of the format. That's all I'm saying about it. And we'll talk about it. But I just think, because I do agree with you. I think this Snatch Game of Love was actually pretty successful. And I would agree. I don't think anyone bombed. But the big ticket item as Ru walks through the workroom is Pythia is wanting to do the Terminator. And Ru basically shuts it down. Yes. And we're getting this edit of Pythia being like, oh crap, I think I'm going to change my character.
Yeah.
And I get what she was saying, because I don't think anyone has ever done a mythological character on Snatch Game.
I don't
I think
so.
there are like cultural characters. Like I think directly to Gala doing La Llorona
Mhm.
on the Mexican Snatch Game on season 1, but I don't think anyone has done like I don't think there's been a mythological character done.
Yeah, the only thing we've really seen is like characters from a culture like La Llorona, or just characters taken from like Christianity. We've seen like the Virgin Mary. We've seen Jesus.
We've seen Jesus now 3 times. Yeah.
We've seen the Satan, I think, twice now. And we've seen like, I know Trinity did it.
Yeah.
I think someone else must have done it as well.
I want to say you're right, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and we've also seen people like Evie Oddly do the Boogeyman, but we've never seen someone really do like, oh, I'm gonna be Suze, oh, I'm gonna be Aphrodite. So I do think it's an interesting one. I also wanted to bring up in the actual like RuPaul when she's talking to Vanity. I found it really weird that she basically like was also trying to get her to do the Swedish chef.
I hated that.
I did not like that at all.
Is that your only? He's not even. He's an American-made character.
Yeah, of
like,
course.
That is not racist because but like culturally insensitive.
Yes. And so
like
yeah, and this was for me really what soured the whole episode for me, between this and what she was telling Gala. Because when Gala tried to like explain who her character was, she just basically told her, oh, just be the stereotypical telenovela character,
right?
And just do sexy and just speak with your accent and exaggerate it. As I said last time, basically what she wants is for her to be Sofia Vergara saying taco, nacho, enchilada. So
pretty much, yeah.
The moment that happened, I was like, okay, these two queens are going to be in the bottom because they're not going to do that. And I'm really frustrated already.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yes, of course.
Sure.
So I think everything you're saying is perfectly valid, and I tend to agree with you. But I also think Rue is coming from the perspective of who's the audience here. And are they going to know your character? And are they going to challenge themselves enough to figure out who your character is and why it works, what you're doing? No. Most of the audience is dumb, so you have to dumb it down as much as possible if you want it to be a success. So I think in a way, while it's frustrating and annoying that she's wanting people to lean into stereotypes, I think it's also to help broaden the appeal of their characters. Like, I'm honestly surprised she didn't tell Nelania to be Chef Boyardee. I swear I thought it was coming.
But
or like someone like Emerald Lagasse or someone like Emerald doesn't even make sense. But like in Rue's mind, for me, the frustration was just because I get what you're saying as well, David. I absolutely agree with you. But we have seen characters that are not known be very successful in Snatch Game. And I think the difficulty here is it feels like Rue is almost saying, oh, you're not from a culture that a lot of people know. Okay, you need to dumb down your culture in order for people to understand your culture. And I hate that.
Yeah.
Because
I hate it too, but it's also true. It's also true. It's
in
sad,
a lot
but
of
it's
ways,
true.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, but for me, what frustrates me is that it's, as a Mexican person, it frustrates me that we cannot allow Gala to really show her culture like freely, and like she has to dumb it down. But then people like Alyssa or Queen or Kitty specifically, I think that's where I was going for, like Kitty and Alyssa don't have to dumb down their characters for other people. Because there's also going to be other people from outside of the US that are going to be watching it. And so if we're gonna dumb down like the Swedish and the Mexican cultures, we should also dumb down the American one and the British one. And so you could have told Katie to just be like the very stereotypical British person that just drinks tea, so that the person from Germany could have gotten it, or the person from Brazil could have gotten it. It's basically the same thing. And for me, that's what frustrates me, that there's not this thing of like, it feels like they're saying, oh, your culture is less. Maybe it's because I've experienced this.
Mhm.
And so for me, it's like I saw it and I immediately was like, this is not okay.
I saw that as well. I felt really uncomfortable watching this, watching it. I'll be honest. I didn't want this season to be, let's bring all these queens together for the ultimate goal of dumbing down their culture so it's more palatable for people. I wanted these queens to be able to show off their culture in a very authentic way that also felt authentic to them and authentic to their drag and their drag personas. And unfortunately, a lot of this season feels like they are figureheads for a country and a culture and not able to express themselves specifically.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating as a viewer who has watched all of these franchises and knows how beautiful all of these cultures are. It fundamentally frustrates me that this is where we're at. And I agree with you, David. There is a lot of it that is inevitable, unfortunately, but it's really unfortunate to see. And I didn't think we would see it to this level. And we are, and it's disappointing for me.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but really, like, most of them, she didn't even steer them away from the characters they were doing. It was really just Pythia. Like, there were subtle things and like subtle changes she was suggesting just to make it more like broad humor, I guess. But it could have been a lot worse.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, overall, it's a complex issue. And here to speak on this complex issue as well is our Snatchlorette for today. It's Lana!
Her.
Hello.
Her.
Her indeed.
Yes.
Hey everybody. I'm here. Thanks. As your Snatchlorette, I do have thoughts.
Yes,
I do
please.
have thoughts. But yeah, no, I jumped in and heard the conversation you guys are having, and very much I agree. I agree with you, Eduardo. I think I hate that some cultures don't feel like they could just be authentically themselves without it being funny, or with people not taking it as funny because they don't understand. And I get it, but I also agree with you, David. Unfortunately, what this show is and what this show is about and who is on this show, it's going to always be somebody who feels slighted. It's always going to be a country who feels like they didn't get to represent fully and completely of who they are authentically because the rest of the world just don't get it. And unfortunately, the way this is set up, the Americas and the UKs and these big overpowering countries are where most of a lot of people's culture, we invade a lot of people's culture. You know what I mean? Everybody knows about American television, British television and American television and all these bigger countries. Their culture has been indoctrinated in the world globally. Yeah. But countries like Mexico and Sweden and heck, even somewhat Germany is not getting that same, globalization on the world. Like I couldn't name a Mexican telenovela because it's just not here in American culture. And I would have to do so much to get out and find it. Like I would have to go and get a VPN. I had to go find first I didn't know what a Mexican telenovela is. Which one do I find? How do I do it? And it's like, I could just turn on my TV and watch everything about America. I got BBC on cable network, so I can watch British television. And so it's not fair. We know it's not. It's what wouldn't you say? It's not right, but
it's not okay.
It's not okay. It's not.
What does
okay.
Naomi Smalls say? Life's not fair.
Not fair. And so that's why I'm like, until we get to that point of where we do have globalization for everybody, when you're getting in competitions like this, sometimes you just go have to, you have to adapt to the situation that you're in. As unfair as it is, sometimes we just have to adapt. And I think that's where we saw it didn't go right for Gala or for Vanity Vane, because they couldn't adapt to the situation that they were in. And it was just unfortunate. It's sad, but it's what it is. Sometimes we just got to do what we got to do. Baby steps until we get to where we got to go. And trust me, I know we know here is people here who's like, we still trying to take those baby steps till we got to adapt in situations until we get to where we can run the table. So Mexico, España, Switzerland, y'all keep taking them baby steps. Keep taking those baby steps. Keep indoctrinating your culture into the world, and you'll get there. It sucks that we have to do it, but that's just life, and life ain't fair.
Yeah.
Life ain't fair.
Yeah. Was there any other workroom stuff to talk about, or can we just go to the judging? Because I don't.
For the Snatch Game part?
Yeah, before the Snatch Game or just in general?
In general.
Okay.
Because I was going to do judges and then Snatch Game. Yeah.
I especially want to talk about Vanity and her story.
Thank you.
Yeah, she had a crush on somebody who worked at a jeans store when she was 16. And her grandfather would take her there.
Wingman granddaddy.
Yes.
Love it.
And then eventually she got a message from the same guy years later on an app. And they've been together for 10 years. I think that was so sweet and so cute. Yeah. And I am really falling in love with Vanity. Everything she does.
Vanity so
like
much.
she's honestly... She's probably my second favorite this season, right?
I think she's my second favorite too. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I love Vanity.
Yeah, just like Gala, I also am in love with Vanity. So,
well, yes,
I think.
And Gala, I would pay to see that. Not even
I would as well. I'm
gonna be honest. Vanity is my favorite person on this season.
Good.
Absolutely adore Vanity from the first moment she walked in that one workroom, and then now it's just funny how she's just like, I don't know, I'm just not funny. But I'm like, Vanity, you are hilarious when you're not trying to be funny. Like when you're just it's so.
I've said it a few times this season, and I really feel this. Vanity on this season feels like season 5 Alyssa Edwards, where she just doesn't understand how funny she is when she's just herself. Like her natural comedy is so good.
Huh. So Alyssa Edwards has done a 180 because she thinks she's funny this season and she's not.
Aww.
But she thought she was funny in the last. She thought she wasn't funny in the last time, and she was. Got it.
Well,
good to know because she's really not that.
But
funny
no,
this
it's
season.
always been the Alyssa when she thinks she's funny, she's not. But when she doesn't think she's funny, and I still think that's the case here in this season. There are things she does, and we will talk about it when we get to her Snatch Game. But there's like a thing that she did that I just thought was so funny, and she did not do it on purpose. But.
No.
Okay. But yeah, Vanity for me has I just fell in love with her. Like she's so funny. Even I know I missed the conversation, but during the mini challenge, I thought she was hilarious. I was like,
she was very funny,
stupidly funny, and I loved it. But I just love her. I think she's amazing. So I'm like, do I want to go back and watch her season? I don't know if
we were just talking about it. We were just
talking
about it.
I'm kind of like, I want to maybe go back. I kind of want to go back and watch it with fresh eyes about Vanity and just be like, was it, and I said this earlier, is it the edit or was she just a bitch then and now she's less of a bitch? Because she's still a bitch. She's a very likable bitch. She's a bitch on this season.
Right. She went from you're a bitch to that bitch. Like, I like that. I love that. Yeah. But yeah, she was hilarious to me. And I think I even okay, well, we'll talk about it when her Snatch Game. But during the Snatch Game, I didn't think she was horribly unfunny. I just thought she just got into her head a little bit.
Oh, we should move to talking about the judges because I do also want to talk about that exact same situation. Okay. So, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have our judging panel with guest judges, the Javis. And okay, here's what I'm going to say. Because I had a very public meltdown last week finding out that the Javis were the guest judges. I have to say, this is my favorite iteration of the Javis ever. And I honestly think I like the Javis without Supreme.
I was about to say.
I think that's what it is.
I was about to say, they seemed to be a little bit tamped down in the presence of Ru.
They seemed relaxed.
Because they knew they could not do what they do in España with Ru.
Yeah.
Because Ru is not Supreme and Ru is not, Ru is mother. You always act different when you're around someone who, okay, all right. Like that's the mother. That is royalty right there. So you always, it doesn't matter what you do or who you are or where you are. When you're around somebody who you just admire, you're like, okay, wait, let me be on my bestest behavior. And I think the Javis was on their best behavior because they were actually palatable on this episode. And I was grateful because me as well joined you in your meltdown last week when I found out it was them, because I just don't have good thoughts about them.
I don't have a lot of positive things to say about them. But on this episode, I found they did what they were supposed to do. Be mildly funny and really nice to look at.
Yeah.
They had, I think, one of my favorite first interactions with RuPaul, when they were all on the stage. When RuPaul was like, what's the key to a successful relationship for so long? And Calvo says,
sex with strangers.
Sex with strangers. And Ambrosi says, you do?
He's like, you don't?
No, you don't.
I love that moment.
Killed me. Killed me. I was like...
And I was back at home saying, you do?
Even in the Snatch Game, when they were at the end and they were we're not happy. It could be better. And they started making out. I was like, that's a funny moment. Those are cute.
I saw that coming though.
I don't like.
I would pay to see it.
No, but I like that. I thought that was a cute moment, funny moment. And they seemed more like somebody I can actually maybe appreciate from time to time.
Yeah.
Rocket, what did you think of the Javis?
Oh,
I have no idea.
Not give a single fuck.
That's absolutely fair as well.
He watched the episode with us. So.
What were you about to say, Eduardo?
No, I said that's absolutely fair. Rocket has no thoughts on the Javis.
No thoughts.
But yeah, they were surprisingly palatable, and I was expecting really awful judging. I was expecting really harsh and really odd judging from them, and we didn't really get that. So I was really shocked that
instead they were just nice, kind of funny, and horny.
They knew their place.
They knew what they were here to do.
They finally understood.
Absolutely, they knew their place.
Be hot and kind of funny. And they succeeded.
And don't piss off Ru because they want to be able to come back if they ever have a chance.
No, I think Ru loved them.
Oh, Ru loved
them.
Ru loved them.
I will say, I think they might have also had the additional pressure of maybe knowing that they are the only people representing Drag Race España on this season. Since España isn't represented, I think there was an additional pressure of, like you said, Lana, we need to be on our absolute best behavior. We need to represent España properly. If there's not going to be a queen from our franchise on here, which there should have been, and they fucking flew one to Colombia, but that's beyond the point.
They fucking
did it. They fucking did it. I'm so fucking mad.
Literally.
I'm so fucking pissed off about that.
I am. I'm so
flustered.
Exactly.
Flustered.
That is gonna be my new word. I'm like, I am so fucking mad at y'all. So
I'm glad to hear it.
The word we can say without feeling bad about it, Lana.
Right.
There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you,
Innovator, right here. Thank you. But no, I'm fucking frustrated that Ugasio is not on this season. But I said fucking this time. I
know
promise
you did. I know.
Yeah.
Fuck you, David. Fuck you, David. Fuck
you.
They're really the only representatives for España on this season, and I think there was an additional let's do good, let's look good, which they both do. Everyone got the black and white memo today, and honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say this might be my favorite thing RuPaul has worn in a long time, and if this is not a promo look for a future season of Drag Race, I'm gonna be upset and mad. I don't know what it is about this gown, but I love this gown and this hair. She looks stunning.
She looks rich.
Very
fine.
Yeah, it's a nice dress.
It's nice.
I gave it a 71. Difficult. Wow.
71.
Well, it's very difficult for a drag queen, especially a queen of color, even though Ru doesn't act like it sometimes. No shade. Full shade. It's difficult for queens of color to pull off wearing a white outfit, a white gown, white looks, period.
Oh no, white is our color.
Well, I'm thinking especially with how high the neck is, I'm thinking with the makeup transferring onto the garment. That's where I'm coming from with it.
Yes.
That's where I was coming from with that. But I do agree, white looks great on melanated skin. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I agree with you completely. Someone that looks really good in white, Lana.
I don't.
You don't wear a lot of it, but when you do, you look good.
I don't, because of that. I don't want to get dirty.
That's fair. But Michelle looks lovely.
I like this.
And Jamal is there,
looking good. Jamal looks stunning every week. He's just good looking. He's just good looking.
Provides nothing.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't. Like, I cannot remember anything he's done this season.
Yeah, not really. But you know what? We've had way worse, judges. And mostly, the masculine judges, most of the time, are just harsh and just not great. And so...
But I'm so excited for next week because we get Graham. I'm so excited.
And
if it's gonna be a white man that's been on a judging panel of Drag Race before, I am happy it is Graham Norton.
Reese, I guess is Reese non-binary?
Yes,
but Reese is the best.
That's why I'm excluding Reese. Of the cis white men, I'm happy it's Graham. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And let me do a shout out because y'all dogging Jamal with his giving nothing self. But shout out to Jamal Sims for doing the choreographing the premiere dance for Dancing with the Stars. He did the he did that. So shout out to you, Jamal. You still doing your big thing. You're doing your big one and giving us very good eye candy every week on the show. So I'm not mad at it.
Yes, God. I agree with that completely. There were 4 hot men on the judging panel this season, or this episode.
Not just saying.
And one of them was Michelle Visage.
Well, I mean, that's the joke that's going to run forever.
That's the joke.
That's the joke.
She
that
knows
runs
the
forever.
joke. That's the joke. Michelle does look gorge. Michelle looks gorge.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk about the Snatch Game. Here we go. It's Snatch Game.
Can we point out that this panel here last week predicted everything that was going to happen in this Snatch game. Can
sure
we
did.
point out that we picked everybody who was going to win and
Yep.
who was going to lose? We pointed that out. We picked it out per person. Literally named the people who were going to win this thing and who were going to be in the bottom and who was going to lose. Literally. It was so predictable from the moment they started. I was like, I knew it last week. I knew it last week when they said it was Snatch Game. And y'all can go back and check the references. You can go back and check the references when we talked about it last week. We literally claimed who was winning and who was losing.
So does this mean you disagree with the judging?
Somewhat.
No.
Somewhat.
I'm gonna be honest. No. I think who won. It's one who I felt like could have won.
Yes.
Who could have won. But the people who lost fairly and squarely.
Yeah.
And let's run through who everyone was, and then we'll talk about the Snatch Game on a whole. So Queen Kong as King Schlong.
Queen Schlong.
King.
It was King.
King Schlong. Okay.
King Schlong. Gala as Laura Leon, who I knew who this woman was. I was happy to see her. Kitty as Princess Di. Nelenia as Valentino. I almost called her Lorraine. Kitty as my queen, Lorraine.
I actually knew who she was. I was like, I know her.
Because you listened to her Eurovision winning song.
I actually liked her song too.
It's a good song. She's
really
a great.
Song.
She's a great artist.
Twice.
Twice. Alyssa Edwards as Annie Oakley. We have Tessa Testicle Edwards as Suzanne Barsh, allegedly, and Pythia as Zeus.
Yeah. This, I mean, I gotta say it, and I love her so much, but Gala definitely was the worst one out of everyone. And it was gonna happen. We all knew it was gonna happen. Gala's already not good with comedy. Gala already struggles with improv. And then she's doing it in English, and she's doing a character that's not super funny. So she was already set up for failure. And so I was not shocked that she didn't do great. I think Queen did a pretty good job. I think Queen was fine. I will say, though, I did not like the taco joke.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the taco joke.
I think I need to be the one to put my 2 cents on this.
Please do.
I think I'm not upset at Queen for making this joke.
Okay.
It is lowbrow. It is almost offensive. I didn't find it particularly funny either, but I don't blame Queen for making this joke, especially because she knew that RuPaul was going to laugh at it. I don't blame her for making this joke. I am actually more upset at Ru for laughing at it, because that's just leaning into stereotypes, and I don't blame Queen for knowing what's going to work. I blame Ru for having it work. That's all I'm going to say on it. I think it was lowbrow. I don't think it was funny.
Yeah.
It was almost offensive. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's whatever.
Yeah. I saw it just as bottom of the barrel comedy. I think with the little bit that Queen understood of Gala's character, I think there's a couple of other ways that she could have gone with it to get this the same laugh out of RuPaul. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, what would I have said in that scenario? And I probably would have said bad perfume and regret.
Yeah.
And that would have given, that wouldn't have been directly offensive. That's not culturally stereotypical. And based on the character that Gala was playing in that moment, that something like that would make a lot more sense. I agree with you. I just kind of saw it as bottom of the barrel comedy, and I don't know why Queen needed to do that, because otherwise I thought Queen was actually doing fairly decent
Yeah,
in the
I
Snatch
agree.
Game. But
Go ahead, David.
I think it was a bad question because when you're thinking of answers on the spot, it's hard to not go for like the low hanging fruit on those because
I
Yeah.
agree.
you don't have the time. Like Logan, your idea that you thought of, you had plenty of time to think about that. If you
I
had
did, yeah.
a split second to come up with something, it's hard. And I think she knew it was probably the easiest thing that came to her mind, and she
Yeah.
knew. I'm sorry if this is offensive.
That
You could
exactly. I
tell
was about to say
she
that.
was proactively like, I don't want this to be offensive. This
Yeah.
is what came to my mind.
Yeah, and that's why I said like I'm not upset at Queen for making the
Mhm.
joke.
I'm more upset at Rue for feeding into it.
I mean, I just think, like you said, Dave, when you're thinking about something on the fly, it's sometimes easiest to go for the bottom, and it's quick, it's easy, da da da. I think Queen, knowing who she is and knowing what she goes through on a regular basis as well, where people can say really crazy and offensive things to her too, she was mindful of the fact,
Yeah.
like, hey, I hope this is not offensive when I say this, and she got the permission from Gala to not be offended when I say
Yeah.
this. And so when Gala was like, she felt like, okay, I'm comfortable
Yes.
enough to say it. So she asked Gala before she said it. So that was one thing I can respect from Queen, that she was like,
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to be offensive when I say this. And Gala was like, and she said a taco, and Gala was like, I get it. Like, no, you're good giving her, because sometimes the stereotypes are funny, sometimes they're not. And sometimes they're fitting, sometimes they're not. We can say that, the stereotype, it's so mean to say there's a stereotype, but sometimes they fit. This time, I don't think it fit, but we knew, like you said, you knew Rue was going to laugh at the small things, because Rue sometimes is inappropriate, or sometimes Rue just laughs at things that everything just makes her laugh. That's not that funny to
like,
us.
Why does margarita pizza make
Right.
RuPaul laugh
Margarita
so
pizza
much?
makes
I'm not sure.
I was also gonna bring that up once we got to it.
And I will say, I think Nelly incorporated it very smoothly into her characterization of Valentino. But I'm actually kind of curious, because I know David usually ranks the performances. And I hope you've done that for this. I'm actually kind of curious to see where you've ranked everything.
Yeah.
Because I also have a ranking, so I'm kind of curious.
Do you just want me to tell you the rankings, or do you want my thoughts on each person? I like giving thoughts on everybody, but I know that takes time.
I'm happy to do thoughts.
Okay. Well, then I will quickly start with Queen. Because I did think she was very funny for the most part in this. Like, even starting off the bat, like saying she would eat Kitty's character because she wants to taste the white privilege. I thought that was really funny. I thought she was really smart when she played off of what Nelania said about her smelling like poop and bananas. She's like, I smell like poop and bananas. So I actually had Queen as my number 3.
Okay.
That's very fair.
I had her at number 4.
Okay.
Oh, this is overall out of everybody?
Yeah.
Out of everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I lumped all 8 together.
Okay. Because I thought we were doing 4 before. But if for overall, she would be my number 3 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, she was also my number 3. Cool. I would have put her in the high placement.
I'm gonna keep track of these.
Great.
So I can see.
I just had there. It was it's very close between my 3rd and my 4th.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why when we get to that person. But I think Queen did her physical comedy, I think, was maybe the best physical comedy. Of anybody on stage.
I think she was the only one that really stood up and like did something.
Yeah.
Like Kalo definitely saw her.
Yeah,
100%. The only other person that had a lot of good physical comedy, well, Vanity had a little bit. Zeus was the other one that had some good, like, big physical comedy. But
but it was.
Go ahead to the next one so we can.
Yeah. I kind of like framing everything around David's rankings and then giving ours and giving our thoughts. I actually really like the way we do that. We're doing that.
I like that too. So then next we have Gala. For me, she was the person who I didn't get her jokes the most of anybody. Like the oil, the Spanish salad. Maybe there was a point to it. I didn't really understand anything she did. I thought that like her as a character, I'm like, I get that you are a specific character, but I didn't find it funny. So unfortunately, I had her number 8 overall.
Yeah. I did as well. I do really appreciate that Michelle acknowledged she looked just like Laura Leon. Like the transformation was the best transformation of anyone on the stage. It just wasn't. I would say the transformation for me was the best.
I would say number 2 for me.
I'm about to say the second best because
second best
with some people. Honestly, I would say the third best because it's
okay.
For me, it's second best. I would say second best because like I feel like Laura Leon is a little bit older, and so we didn't really get to like we saw how Nelania did it like an older person,
right?
Like, and did the
Nelania was also the other really good one.
Yeah. And so I think that Gala could have really gone for that as well. But when it comes to her actual comedy, she just didn't hit it or at all. I think just going for the character of Lara Leon is already a big risk because like you would have to do one of her characters and maybe even then you would have to really amp it up. And so it was already a tough battle for Gala with this character. And so it just didn't hit for me, even knowing the character. It just didn't really go anywhere. It's like these characters where they try to do like a model or someone that's like not particularly funny. And like that is well known for being like this rich woman that's like has this like sassy attitude. Like sometimes it just
doesn't have a whole lot of personality outside of that. Yeah,
exactly. And so I feel like that was the biggest issue. And so I love Gala, but I do agree Gala was the worst one, and she was my number 8 as well.
I agree.
She was my number 8, unfortunately.
Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Next we have Kitty as Princess Di. So as somebody who grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, Princess Di was a big figure in my life. And Lana can agree. So I think she did such a good job of getting all of the subtleties. She had the mannerisms down. She just was very, very smart in how she played this throughout the entire. She was so consistent and reliable. And the jokes were there. They were funny. She was petulant. I just really enjoyed everything she did. If there was a challenge that I expected Kitty to succeed in, it was Snatch Game. She is the comedy queen out of all 12 people from this cast. So if she failed in this challenge, then something went terribly wrong for her. For me, I thought she did very, very, very well. She was my number 1.
I think Kitty did a great job. I do. Like you said, this is her challenge to lose. And she did on her first season simply just because there was someone else.
Came out of nowhere.
Ella Vaday's Nigella Lawson goes down as one of the best Snatch Game performances of all time. And Kitty's Gemma Collins also goes down as the best. And to this day, I still think it should have been a double win in the Snatch Game.
I even like Scarlet Harlot better than Kitty, though.
Oh, no. Fuck that shit. Absolutely not. No. I also just don't particularly like Scarlet Harlot. There's bias there, I'll be honest. For me, as someone that did not grow up with Princess Di, I actually think she passed the year I was born.
97.
Yeah. So I know of Princess Di posthumously. I know enough about her to know that Kitty did a really, really, really good job. For me, she was a very, very close number 2. Very, very close number 2.
Yeah. I mean, as someone that I think knows the least about Princess Di, like I am the youngest one here. I'm from a non-English speaking country. So like we don't get a lot from British royalty. and when we do, it's very little. And so I don't know a lot about Princess Di. I know like the big parts of it, but I don't know her mannerisms. I don't know like a lot about like the way that she acted outside of like the little bits and pieces that I've seen. But I think Kitty did a pretty good job from what I know about Princess Di. I think she did a pretty good job. I think she was funny. I think Kitty's just a person whose comedy is not 100% like for me. I will say that. But I do think she was funny. She did give me like some funny moments. I think she did a pretty good job and volleyed off of other people really well. And so for me, maybe it's because of the fact that like as someone that doesn't really stick with Kitty's comedy and as someone that doesn't really know a lot about Princess Di, it just didn't hit as hard for me. So for me, it was a number 2, but there was like a pretty big split between 1 and 2. So yeah, she's my number 2. I think she did a pretty good job, but not my favorite.
Yeah, I am on the side of David. When somebody who grew up knowing Princess Di, doing all the things, like I literally remember my mom waking up early in the morning to watch the wedding between Charles and Di, and her and my older sister watching that and being that invested in her, because nobody cared about him. Let's be honest, it was her. Everybody cared about her, and then throughout her life, watching all of the things that she went through, all of the tomfoolery that they put her through, and watching her overcome a lot of that and getting out of that situation only to fall at the, and I'm gonna say it, at the hands of them. I'm gonna say it. You can't convince me otherwise. It was very endearing to watch Kitty do Princess Diana the way she did Princess Diana, because she had all her little mannerisms down, all the cheekiness, the shy off to the side,
very
Demure.
demure. The
very
original,
very
the
original
original
demure.
very demure,
Like she is very
mindful.
demure, very
Well-
mindful, very classy, very very cutesy, but
Yeah.
also very cheeky. And if you knew the differences of Diana, the stuff that they didn't want us to see, that she let us in on after she left the royal family, and it was like, oh no, Diana wasn't just this quiet little mouse of a woman. She was very ballsy, and she was very outspoken when she needed to. She made her stance, and she would play jokes on people, and she would, like, to hear the stories that we've heard from her, and then to hear the stories that we hear from her children, from Harry, talking about how she was this person off, behind the scenes that we didn't see. It was like, it made us fall in love with her. And then as an American, we should have no attachment to the English royal family, should care less. But she made us fall in love with her, as she was the people's princess for a reason. And I think Kitty did a wonderful job at capturing the sweetness, the nuances of Diana, and then she was funny. And I thought she was the funniest one to me. She was my number 1. I really, really, really enjoyed her portrayal. I thought it was in good taste as well as funny. It could, because I've seen some people try to do Diana and it just doesn't feel right. Like, you're not doing her. It feels disrespectful. I feel like Kitty did it in the most respectable way, but in the funniest way. So I really enjoyed her so much.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, like, knowing that Logan and Eduardo did not grow up with Princess Di, because there is nobody that really compares to the type of celebrity and fame that she had. Like Meghan Markle, Kate Middleton, those are not on the same level that Princess Di was on. She was everybody's favorite. Everybody adored her.
It could have been. I think the closest person that could have been is Meghan Markle. If they would have kept Meghan Markle in that role, and the press treated her right, and the royal family treated her correctly, she could have been the equivalent to what Princess Diana was to the people, but they didn't do it. And so she left. And so now we're seeing how certain people are taking a hold of Meghan Markle and others are not. And so the people who love her like they love Diana. That's the thing. The people who love her are like, girl, you're it. We love you. The people who don't just don't. And it is what it is. But she could have been. And y'all would have been able to see the modern day Diana because she has the same mindset like Diana. She was for people. She wanted to help people. She wants to be for people. And that was Diana.
Yeah. I do think we're getting a little bit off track.
Change it.
I will.
No, we're back. We're still on track because it's still about what Kitty did. Kitty did Diana.
I feel like we're dangerously getting somewhere else.
Don't try to guide me backwards.
We're losing the forest for the trees.
We're losing, right? We are, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but Kitty was
maybe it's also for me because I'm also losing track, and I was gonna start going somewhere else, and I was just like, no.
Let's talk about Nelenia,
please.
As Valentino.
Wow, I have so much to say about Valentino.
Valentino.
Please be prepared for my 30-minute rant about Valentino. No.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No, but that was actually one of my favorite things, Logan, what you just referenced. It's me, Valentino, and referencing Valentina. I thought, okay, you starting off strong and you're knowing your audience. And I feel like she did really well at knowing the audience and knowing what works for them. She was funny, like getting up and smelling Queen Kong and saying the poop and bananas. She was funny leaning into the margarita pizza. And I'm sorry, I feel really bad. But when I first heard the margarita pizza thing, everything last week, I did laugh. And I'm like, why is it so funny to me? But it was really funny to me. And it's made me like question, like, should I be feeling bad that I thought it was really funny hearing her say that in such a like strong Italian accent? So I don't know. I'm still working through that, but I also wanted to be very honest. I thought it was hilarious, and I actually kind of like it as her catchphrase now. But even there was another thing that she did was the Michelle Visage joke. We've heard it. She just went to a lot of reliable things, and it all worked. My hot take though is as funny as she was, I thought a lot of people were funny, so she was my number 5.
Oh, okay. I like you said exactly, and I was going to bring this up. The Michelle Visage joke is a joke we hear almost every season Michelle Visage is on. But what Nelenia did with this, the setup to it was so beautiful. It was so seamless. You didn't expect the Michelle Visage joke. And when you got it, it was familiar. It was funny. It was a different way to do the Michelle Visage joke. And I loved every single thing Nelenia did in this Snatch Game. I thought she was so entertaining. She knew what to reference to make Rue laugh, but also stay fairly in with the characterization of Valentino. And at the end, doing the measurements on Javi and then measuring the dick, it was so funny. For me, Nelenia was number 3. I really enjoyed her.
Yeah.
And the physical transformation as well was very good.
Yeah. Nelenia was really funny. The opening with "Hi, it's me, Valentino" is some of the smartest thing like that. I would have never come up with that, and I think Nelenia is really smart for doing that. And I think that's just what I would say about Nelenia's whole Snatch Game, is that it was really smart. I think she knew what was going to work on Rue, on the judges. She knew everything that was going to really hit. And that's why I think she brought up the margarita pizza, because she knew that it was going to be funny to Rue. She knew that everything that was she knew what she needed to do to make Rue laugh and to make other people laugh. And so I think it was really smart. It was not my personal favorite. For me, she was number 4. I think her and Queen Kong were really close. I think when they interacted, it was really funny. But for me, I just found Queen Kong's physical comedy funnier than Nelenia's, but I still think Nelenia did a really good job. and she could. I was not upset by the fact that she was in the top. I think the physical transformation is really good as well, and I think she did a really good job.
Yeah, I think she was funny. I think she had good moments for me throughout this show, and I thought the transformation was great. I laughed at a few things with her. I thought she was funny, but she was my number 4.
Party. Let's move to Vanity as Lorene.
Okay. Here's going to be my hot take for the episode. I thought she was really funny. This is an example for me of the show telling me somebody isn't funny and not letting me figure it out for myself, because she had at least 3 different things that made me laugh. In fact, I will say she is the person who did one individual thing that made me laugh harder than anybody out of all 8. I thought she started off really strong. She spoke in Swedish, and then RuPaul said, "Was that Swedish?" And she goes, "See." And I'm like, those are the
See.
type of little things that she does. But the funniest thing for me, and you all might think I'm crazy, but I cracked up when they had to describe 3 things about themselves. And she says, nails, no breasts.
Yes.
Oh, that's 3.
Oh, that's 3.
Just,
I died.
I died too. How she
That was one of
accidentally,
my favorite jokes of the
she
entire
accidentally
Snatch
That was
Game.
my
blew
favorite
her
joke.
second point by using 2 words. So I thought that was hilarious. And even like saying the bananas or the exotic fruit and saying there's only ice and snow in Sweden. I thought that was funny. For me, I would absolutely, she would not have been in my bottom 2. She was my number 4.
I'll lead off by saying she was my number 5. It was a very, very close number 5. Her and Queen were very close for me. I loved Vanity's Lorene. I really did. I was nervous because I know Lorene. I have followed her career, and she is not the biggest personality. So I was petrified, but I was excited because I know Vanity has that comedic brain. And so I wanted to see what she was going to do with this character. The nails, no breasts joke was the best joke of this Snatch Game for me, without a question. And the fact that she was still in the bottom is disgusting. She looked like Lorene. She sounded like Lorene. She acted like Lorene. She had the nails. It was all of her physical comedy with the hands and the nails. It's so Lorene. And I hope Lorene saw this and was appreciative of it. I haven't seen whether she has acknowledged it at all. But as someone who is a very, very big fan of Lorene, I absolutely loved Vanity in this Snatch Game. You know what? The more that I'm thinking about it, I think I am also actually going to put her at number 4, and I'm going to put Queen at number 5.
See, and this is coming from someone, I have no idea who that woman is, but she made me feel like I know who that woman is.
I need to show you the video of her in the giant panini press, David.
Oh, absolutely you do. Absolutely you do.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Knowing Lorene who Lorene is, I was so scared for Vanity because I immediately thought, oh, Lorene is not someone that would be a good choice.
Not someone you should do on Snatch Game.
It's one of these people that's known for being quiet and kind of like kind of hippy-dippy. And so
very demure, very mindful, honestly.
Yeah. And so I was absolutely terrified for what she was going to do. And when she started, I was like, oh, this is actually working. And she just kept going with all the physical comedy of the nails and doing this stupid stuff that we know Lorene does when she's singing. And I thought she just brought some really good jokes, especially for someone that's not supposed to be funny. Like Lorene is not supposed to be funny. And this worked. And I was just shocked. And I did not think that she should have been in the bottom. I did not think that she was gonna be in the bottom. I thought that she was gonna be safe. Because for me, that she looked like Lorene. She gave me the vibe of Lorene. She was funny as Lorene, which to me, that's a huge accomplishment. So the more I talk about it, the more I like it more than I like Melania's as well. And so maybe I will also put it at 4 and bring Melania down to a 5 because
I also bumped her up above Queen just now, so she's my number
yeah.
3 now.
Yeah,
Yay!
and I wouldn't put her in the top because I think my top 3 I really, really, really enjoyed.
Mhm.
But I think the more I talk about it, the more I want to put her in my number 4. And so I think I'm going to put her in my number 4 and bring Melania down to my number 5. But I think these 5 queens did a really good job. We haven't talked about my number 1, but I think the top 5 queens did really good. And the other 3 were a little bit of a struggle.
I liked her. I thought she did really well in this. I didn't think she should be at the bottom. I was like, she wouldn't have been in my bottom. I would have put her at 5. And I'm not, as much as y'all, I'm listening to y'all, I'm not changing it. She's 5. She's strictly staying at 5. I thought she was good. I thought her jokes were funny. I laughed more at her jokes than I did others. The no breast killed me. That absolutely floored me. She was like, and I think it was because it was so unintentional, and she just rolled with it. She was like, nails, no breast. Oh wait, no, that's 3. Like, I think she thought about it as she said it. Was like, oh shoot, that's 3. So I love organic jokes like that when it just happens naturally. That's vanity. She doesn't even realize how funny she is, and she's funny when she's not trying to be funny. And she was hilarious in that moment. Is it enough jokes to make me move her up? No, but I think she did just enough to keep her safe and in a position where she should have been safe. She was funny. She looked like Lorene from the few times I've seen Lorene and seen her performance. I think this is very much her, and I enjoyed it very much. I thought she did a good job. So
let's talk about Alyssa as Annie Oakley, who I will say was not bad.
Right. Yeah. So first of all, I alluded to this way earlier in the episode about her doing things unintentionally. But when she called, and I don't know if you all picked up on it, she did this 2 different times. When she called Harvey.
Yes. Yes.
She calls him Harvey later on in the episode too.
Yeah, she did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I am honestly convinced that maybe Alyssa thought his name was Harvey.
I think she does.
I think she just doesn't know that the name Javier exists.
Well, we know that she hasn't watched any international franchises.
Yeah.
So she has
no idea who they are.
clue who these men are.
Yeah, but as I said, I think for me at least, Javi is very obviously a diminutive of Javier.
Yeah.
So like, I think she just doesn't know that the name Javier exists.
I think
so she just thought like, oh, it's Harvey.
Honestly, I think it was unintentional because I don't think she knows their name. I agree with you. But I also think it fit the character that she was playing because Annie Oakley is good old American and dumb, stupid Americans. We're not going to think Javier. We're not going to think about that. Javier. You Harvey. You Harvey. Hey Harvey, how you doing? We don't think about, because we're so into ourselves, we don't care about what your name actually is. Your name is what I call you. So your name is Harvey.
Yeah, I'm not Eduardo. I am Ed or Edward. That's it.
You Edward. You Edward. You're not Eduardo. We don't know nothing about Eduardo. Hey Edward, what's going on?
She would call you Edgardo.
We're going to call you Ed because we like to shorten everybody's name. You're Ed. That's it.
The amount of times I've been called Ed, it's not. It's wild.
I can imagine. So, yeah, I think it fit the character, and it was, but I do think it was unintentional.
Yeah,
I don't think she.
I agree.
I don't think she knew their name.
But she had some intentional moments too that I thought were funny. Like when they had to do like a bird call, like as a mating call, and she just like went hard with the like rooster. I was like, okay, she's committing. It's funny. It's working. I do think overall, though, most of the jokes she went for were pretty predictable for this character. And I critiqued Roxy for doing Tasha Salad as a Snatch Game character. So I'm going to give that same critique here. I think this is a lazy choice. She picked something that worked for her in a past season. I wish she had been a little bit more ambitious. For me, I did have her number 6.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like for me, it didn't. It felt like just Alyssa was just doing Alyssa, and she was just trying to be funny. And as we know, when Alyssa thinks she's being funny, she kind of falls flat. And so when it didn't really hit for me, like for me, all of the jokes were really predictable. It just wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be, because when she did Annie Oakley on All Stars 2, she already basically had all of her funny moments like written for her. And then what was funny about her was her physical comedy that she had with the pit crew when she was in All Stars 2. On here, she didn't really go anywhere with that, and she just really didn't do much for me. I don't think she was bad. She was somewhat funny. It just wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be. She didn't really go for it as much as I wanted her to go for it. As I said, I've always had a problem when queens just make choose a person just so that they can be themselves.
As Vanity said, it's Alyssa playing Annie Oakley playing Alyssa.
Yeah, it's just like when Candy was pretending to play Patrick Star, and she was just playing herself.
It was Candy playing Patrick Star, playing Candy Muse, playing I don't know.
Yeah, for me that never really hits, and it never really like works super well. So I agree with you, David. She was my number 6.
I didn't find her that funny. I just didn't find her that funny. And I didn't see her All Stars 2 performance, so I didn't know that, until they said it and showed the reference that she did that. I just didn't find her that funny. I was just like, she just seems like Alyssa doing Alyssa, who's supposed to be Annie Oakley, but it's really just Alyssa. I like that she was committed. I like that she was just here 100% on it. I just didn't find her that funny to me. Honestly, this might be a hot take, but I would have put her at my number 7.
Okay. I get that for sure. I think I agree with a lot of what y'all have said. I do think it was a very lazy choice for her. But as someone who has done Snatch Game twice and never succeeded at Snatch Game, I'm honestly not mad at her picking a safe but lazy choice, because she has never done well on Snatch Game.
I love her Joan Crawford. I loved it.
Her Joan is just, it wasn't that great. It's iconic for the wrong reasons. And I understand, that's just me personally. I didn't love her Joan. I don't think any iterations of Joan have been good on the show, with the exception of Joan the Rusical. Because I didn't even like when Mariah Balenciaga did it. But I understand the choice. She also is picking something that a lot of people are going to know. I mean, one of the most iconic gifs of Drag Race is Alyssa in the workroom in this giant Annie Oakley wig doing her side barrel roll with the gun. Like, it's so iconically funny that I get why she did it. With that being said, I agree. I think she was in character. I think she did a perfectly serviceable job. Calling him Harvey the whole time was good. My favorite thing she did was the rooster call. I thought that was really funny. For me, she was number 6. And then my dear Miss Tessa Testicle as Allegedly, Suzanne Barsh.
Mhm.
Allegedly.
I'm mad at Pythia because I did not notice until she pointed it out. But the whole like swaying and moving her arms the entire time, and then when I rewatch it, I couldn't stop staring at it the second time, and I don't understand. I don't get it. And I think this is where I think she gets too smart too sometimes. She knows that Suzanne Barsh has been on the show on Drag Race, so she knows that RuPaul is at least somewhat familiar with her. So she's like,
they're
okay,
friends.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
she's
they're
like,
friends.
let me do my research and really appeal to Rue's knowledge of this character. And you left the rest of us behind, though. That's the problem. Like, I didn't understand anything about her character. For me, I do not think she was much better than Gala. None of the jokes really landed for me. And it's frustrating because I do think there's worlds. Like, I think if she did Snatch Game 20 times, I think she wins at least a few of them because she's got that natural, like, comedic timing in her.
Yeah.
It just did not land for this character. I didn't get it.
No.
This was number 7 for me.
Yeah, this was also number 7 for me. I mean, I know enough about Suzanne Barsh to understand that she was doing some of the mannerisms. She had a bit of the vocal inflection of Suzanne Barsh. I'll give her that much. And I do appreciate her going for a reference that Rue is definitely going to know. Unfortunately, I just didn't find anything she said funny. I think Tessa is the most funny when she is Tessa.
Mm-hmm.
And when she has to play a character, it is not nearly as successful as it could be otherwise. I love the outfit she's in, though. I will say that much. The outfit is fierce. Is this not her entrance look from Germany?
Okay, hold on.
Is
Now
this not her entrance look?
Hold on, we have to look this up.
I feel like, or it's like a catsuit version of her entrance look. Because I remember her in a like animal print. Regardless, the look was good. The mannerism was fine. She was my number 7. Unfortunately, meaning in this case, I would have had her in the bottom 2.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Maybe I would have wanted her in the bottom. Actually, I don't think I would have, but
I don't know. Yeah, for me, as someone that doesn't really know this character, I was already kind of like, I don't know where this is gonna go. I think I've said it. I think doing people like models is already something really complicated because they're never really known for their personality. And then already I don't know this person. So I'm already kind of in the dark. And then all of the references that she was making, I didn't understand them. I was left in the dark. I don't know this character before this. I don't know this character after Tessa did it. I ended up with this Snatch Game not knowing who she did or at all. I was confused and I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it or at all. I get somewhat where she was going for, and I think me kind of seeing what you're going for is better than like, for me, it was a little bit better than Gala because Gala just fell flat on her face. And Tessa was at least like, for me, was trying to get back up while Gala just stayed on the ground. So for me, Tessa was my number 7 as well.
So I thought Tessa was actually kind of funny. I actually enjoyed her performance. I think the swaying made me laugh so much. I noticed her doing it right away, and I was like, "What is she doing? Why is she doing that?" But the more she did it, the more I laughed. I was like, "Why is she swaying like that? What is this? Why is she doing it?" And then with the way she would say the joke, even if the joke wasn't hilariously funny, I laughed at the inflections in her voice. I laughed at the way she delivered the joke. And I thought it was it wasn't the best. Please don't, like, she's not at the top of the ranking at all. Like, she's not hilariously funny, but I liked her. I liked her commitment to whatever she was doing, good, bad, indifferent. I love the commitment to what she was doing, and she did get a couple of laughs from the panel, and I laughed. I thought it was oddly, maybe my sense of humor is warped. I don't know. It could be, but I oddly found her endearing and intriguing and kind of funny. It was just like, why is she moving like that? I don't know. What does this mean? Do I know this character? No, I don't know who this person is. And I'm with you, Eduardo. I don't know who she is after Tessa. But what I do know is that Tessa injected something that made me laugh. It just hit me that I was like, okay. And it was funny enough. It wasn't super funny. She wouldn't be at the top of the list. She still would be at the bottom of the list for me, but she would be my number 6 because I just found her more endearing than I found Alyssa. I found Alyssa funny, but not endearing. I found Tessa endearing and a little funny.
And not funny.
It was a little funny. I won't say she was not funny because I did laugh, and she did have a joke or two that made me actually laugh and chuckle at the joke. But I thought Alyssa just seemed a little forced, and Tessa's just felt more natural. She just leaned into whatever she was doing, so it was more endearing to me. So she would be my number 6.
Fair enough. So this is not her entrance look. It is basically the same fabric, but in a cat suit with a corset. And on Germany, it was a dress with a corset and her ass out.
Oh,
so similar, but different. Same runway collection. Different look. But let's finish up with Pythia as Zeus.
Baby, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I will go ahead and say Pythia was the surprise. Like, just also knowing, like, I can never remember the name of the character she did her first Grimes, the pop star that dated Elon Musk, right? Yep. That was fine for me. This was really good, and I want to get this out of the way. What I'm looking at was so distracting, and one of the most attractive things I've ever seen on Drag Race. I was so into it. And I've already thought Pythia was the hottest one in the cast. But if I knew Pythia, if we were dating, I would be like, do you mind dressing like Zeus again tonight?
No, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. I was like, I would. And I would pay for it. And I would also pay to see Pythia as Zeus with the Javis. I would pay for that video. I would. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, one of the funnier moments, like when later on you have the judging, when RuPaul was like basically implying she would want to hook up. I was watching with my friend, and then Pythia was like, oh yeah, could I be the 4th? And my friend was like, who's the 3rd? Because RuPaul's married. And I'm like, obviously it's Georges. Like,
well, yeah, obviously.
Who else would she be on 2 back to back? Well, I shouldn't say that.
Allegedly.
But no, I thought she was so funny. Like, I think just like leaning into the more modern Greek stereotypes, like I was getting totally a character out of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but as Zeus. And as somebody who grew up like loving Greek mythology, and I will say Greek mythology art was very formative for me in finding my sexuality.
Several of us, yes. I
can agree.
So I just was like turned on and thought it was hilarious. My favorite part was when she was saying, like, talking about his daughter Aphrodite, screw her. Oh, I've already screwed her. And then RuPaul says it's just mythology. uh, to the audience. She says, "This is my reality. How please, I'm offended." I thought that was hilarious. That was probably my second funniest moment of the whole night. But yeah, this was a very close number 2 for me. I just thought she nailed everything about it.
Yeah. Pythia was my favorite. Pythia was my favorite of this episode. And as someone who was a part of Greek life, this character hit home because she basically played a frat bro. Like, that's all she was. She was frat bro Zeus. And I'm really not mad at it. Honestly. There was something comedically entertaining, fascinating to watch, and be like, you're funny, but I also want you to fuck me. Like, there was, and I would say that about Pythia in general. There was just something so out of the box and so surprising about what Pythia did. And the way she could lean so easily into that character was shocking to me. I think she has the biggest discrepancy between Snatch Game characters maybe that we've ever seen by people who have done multiple Snatch Games.
Yeah.
I think the only other one that comes to mind to me is the Tuck doing first doing Amanda Lepore, then Caitlyn Jenner, then Leslie Jordan, and Satan. Like, the discrepancy is wide there, but I think Pythia is definitely up there. I loved this. I loved every single part of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Pythia really surprised me. I think especially knowing that Pythia came up with this character 20 minutes before she actually had to get
and
on.
Had to make the outfit
Yeah.
in the workroom before Snatch Game.
Yeah, so to me it was really surprising, and I think maybe that adds to it for me. The fact that she did so well with a character that she came up with 20 minutes before, and especially knowing that Pythia said it herself. She's not really good at doing improv. She's good when she has time to really come up with an idea and a joke and then say it and then be funny. That's where Pythia can be really funny. So when she pulled this out of thin air, it just really did it for me. And also just Pythia's already hot. This is already not fair. And then she just comes out in this. Excuse me, hello. I am
Hello?
so hello.
Hello?
Yeah, it's I
Hello?
just think this character is hello. I can see you from my house.
House.
We're gonna be here for 3 hours, anyways.
Oh goodness. Well, Julie.
Well, Julie, anyways. And also just knowing the actual mythology of Zeus and him just being so horny, it's so funny to me as well. I think this is just perfect. It's so good. For me, this was my favorite. Great. 10 out of 10 would fuck Pythia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pythia 8. This was so good. I was not expecting Pythia to do so well. Not that I had any expectations because I didn't see Pythia in her other Snatch Games, anything. But the fact that she changed characters so quickly on the dime and was like, you know what? I didn't think about mythological characters. That's something I could actually do, and switched it up and only had so little time to do it. I was nervous for her. I was like, oh, this might not end up well, switching at the last minute. And you not being that improv queen, that, that's not your specialty thing. So I was nervous for her, but she kind of ate this up. And then when my favorite joke, she said, she was like, when they were asking to describe your look or whatever, and she was like, easy, breezy, and nipply. I was like,
Nipply.
she's like, no, like for real, I'm excited. And I was just like, that is so funny. And so, because I thought she was gonna be like easy breezy and carefree, just something simple,
Easy breezy, beautiful.
beautiful, like something like I was
Cover
like, oh, she's gonna go
boy, I don't
cliche, very cliche, but she changed it up. I thought she was funny, and as the one person who's not thirsting over Pathia right now, like everybody else on this panel, I will say objectively, it was a great performance, and I would have had her tied for number one. For me, it would have been a double win. I honestly would have let them double win, because I know you thought I was gonna put her at number two, David. That's why you have to change your stuff around. But I was going. I thought she should have tied for first place. I thought because of this Snatch Game and both of their runways, I feel like they should have tied for number one, because
I would have been very okay with
it
that.
would have it just made sense for this, because both of them ate, Kitty ate, and I think Pathia just ate this down with no questions. She left no crumbs.
Speaking of Kitty, while David resettles our overall averages, I do want to bring up something that I forgot to bring up earlier, and I want to give Kitty major kudos for setting up Nilenia with the margarita pizza joke.
Oh yeah,
because they had their squabbles. They weren't like on the best of terms going into this week specifically, but I do appreciate at least that Kitty had the forethought to set up the joke for Nelly,
because it was her question.
Because it was her question. And I loved seeing that from Kitty. I was like, oh, that's the Kitty I know and love from UK season 3. Like, there she is. Thank you. Like, I've been frustrated with Kitty in this edit this season, but I was happy to see the Kitty that I know outside of this season. But yes, David, what are our overall results?
Well, I don't think anybody will be too surprised with this. It seems like my rankings were the closest to the average.
Okay.
Actually, no, that's not true. Looks like Eduardo's rankings are really spot on with the average. So 8 was Gala, 7 was Tessa, 6 was Alyssa, 5 was Nilenia, 4 was Vanity. So the top 3 would have been Queen Kong. And until Lana changed her rankings, we did have a tie for the top 2, but now we don't. And Kitty is now number 2, and Pathia is number 1.
Isn't that exactly Eduardo's ranking?
That's literally my ranking.
Per. Per. I love that.
I am right. There you go.
Because when Eduardo.
It sounds correct.
Sometimes
it seems
correct.
Correct.
Mexicans had to have a win this week.
You know what? We're going to let you have this win this week. Absolutely, darling, without a shadow of a doubt. As we now do, we are going to talk about the runway looks over on Look Over Here. So make sure to check out that episode, because this was a pretty damn good runway. I'm excited to talk about it. But Untucked, not much happens.
No.
So Alyssa's tired of being safe.
Tired of being safe.
Yeah. The one thing I had heard
written into your contract, Alyssa?
It wouldn't surprise me. The one thing I'd heard going into the season was about Alyssa being frustrated with her placements. I don't think she's handling it too bad. Like, sure, she's complaining, but we hear people complain about this sort of thing. I'm wondering if there's more behind the scenes that we're not seeing, though.
Perhaps.
I have heard that there is a lot more behind the scenes that we are not hearing. Allegedly.
Well, then she's smart.
Everything is
alleged
alleged information.
It says so right there.
But let's talk about our results. Our top 3, kind of on track with where a lot of us were. Kitty, Nilenia, and Pathia. That was my top 3 as well. So
I'm mad at it.
I agree.
I ain't mad at it.
I'm mad at it. And the win goes to Kitty, which I'm not mad at it. I really would have loved the double win, like you said, Lana, with Kitty and Pathia. I think both of them, like you said, they both have great runways that I'm excited to talk about. I would have been so okay with a double win here. Give them both their second win. I think that would have been really great.
Yeah, I think that would have helped too, because I was so nervous. Like, even before this episode, I was thinking, is Pathia's legacy on the show going to be she's a look queen and there's not anything else there? Because that's the
Yeah.
only times she's really succeeded so far in this season
Yeah.
are when she's making looks and presenting looks on the runway. But knowing her from season 2, she's good at pretty much everything. And I want other people to see that and see how well-rounded she is. So I'm glad that she's getting success in a different arena this time.
Mhm.
I agree. We get a bottom 3 of Gala, Tessa, and Vanity.
I wouldn't have Vanity there.
Why is
But-
Vanity here?
Why
Oh,
is Vanity?
Because she was back against the wall in the bottom 2 against Galavado. She had a black dress and a dream. And she said, I am about to go out and make herstory. And that is what she did. And that is also what Gala did. It is herstory because we are lip syncing too.
Phenomena.
I almost saw somebody do it in a cow costume.
Yeah,
I wish we got to see
I
that.
wish we would have saw that. Oh my God.
Here's the thing. I'm pissed off at this bitch. I messaged her because she's on Instagram right now. I will say she is still active online. I messaged her during this podcast and I was like, bitch, what were you going to do with that cow outfit? So hopefully I'll have a reply. Hopefully I will have a reply from Tessa for next week's episode. I have to say, if this ends this year as my number 1 lip sync of the year, I would not be surprised. I loved this lip sync. I think this is the single dumbest choice of a lip sync song we have ever had on any franchise of Drag Race. And I am so happy we did. This was stupid. And they both understood the assignment.
That was so funny. I did not know I was going to laugh so much at a lip sync than I did in this one. And I was like, first of all, when they said what the song was, I was like, oh my God, why are we doing Phenomena? Like, seriously,
I looked at this, I looked at my TV for a second, and I was just like,
I literally had to pause it for a second. I was like, no, we're not really doing Phenomena. Like, on a global, international drag race, we're doing Phenomena? Like,
yes.
Who thought about this? I was like, at first in my mind, the only thing I thought about, this is going to be dreadful. This is going
I thought
to
it was
go
going to be
bad.
horrible.
This is not going to be good. Not because, like, you can't mess up the words to Phenomena. Like, you just can't. If you
can mess up the timing, but not the words.
Timing, but you can't mess up the words. If you mess up the
they
words,
both knew their lyrics.
They got the lyrics down pat. Period. But I was like, this is going to be so weird and dreadful. I was dreading it. But I turned it back on and I watched it and I was like in hysterics. I was rolling on my bed, laughing my behind off. I was like, this is so stupidly funny. And both of them gave us 2 different interpretations of how they would interpret this song. And they were both equally good and funny. Like Gala giving us the puppets of Phenomena. I thought that was
so
hilarious. Good. I was like, oh my God. And then when she put her hands up in the air and was crouching down and was doing, I screamed. I was like, oh my God, that is so funny. But then on the flip side, we had Vanity giving us like very like, I don't care. Why am I here? This is so beneath me. Like okay, I'm doing it, but here we go. And it was so funny. I laughed. I literally watched that 3 times in a row because I thought it was so funny. And I just kept going back and I was like, who is winning this? I don't know because they're both doing amazing and funny. I thought it was the most funniest thing I've ever seen. I think the only one that I thought was equally as impressive or stupid but good was when a lip sync that I had to watch from a long time ago, was when they did the designing women's challenge, where they did the speech "Devil Went Down to Georgia." This
is the closest to a spoken word lip sync that we have gotten since the night the lights went out.
The night the light went down in Georgia. And I thought that was so funny. And I thought that was really good. But I thought this was just hilariously funny. And I cracked up laughing. It will go down. It probably will be in one of my, at least my top 5 favorite lip syncs of this year. I will not. It was so funny.
Yeah, I agree that this is going to be an iconic lip sync for a long time. For me, I think I do have a little bit of a different perspective, because I have lip syncs like when I think about my favorite lip syncs, there's either lip syncs where they're so good because it was so even and both people were nailing it and killing it. And then there's lip syncs where one person is just completely catching my eye and dominating it in a way that I just cannot get out of my brain. And for me, this is actually the latter. And I want to give Gala respect because I do think she was funny. I do think she did very well. But for me, I was mesmerized by every single thing Vanity did. I could not take my eyes off of her. It felt like she eats, sleeps, breathes this song, because she knew every little nuance. She told a story with how she presented it. And I was just so captivated, and I thought it was hilarious. And Gala was great, but Vanity was next level for me. It was so good.
I think my anger really blinded me in this one.
That's fair.
I think it really did. Because the moment it came on, I got angry. I got so angry because I already knew this is not a song that Gala would ever do by choice. They're just insulting her at this point. And so I was just angry. I was just upset. I was just like, just stop. Stop with the bullshit. Stop it already. I don't care at this point. Gala, just walk off, leave. We know it's gonna happen. Why are we doing this? Why are we kicking her while she's down at this point? I'm clearly blinded because, clearly all of you think it was a really good lip sync. And that's absolutely okay. I think it was campy. I understand the choice why it was done. Maybe once I have time to sit on it and think about it, and once I rewatch it, I will look at it with fresh eyes and be like, oh, this is actually really funny.
Yeah.
But it was just just what broke the camel's back for me was just like
they had to use a song where the only words were "Mana" to send Gala home.
Yeah, because they knew that any other song Gala could have really done really well. This is just a song that Gala would never do.
I do think I can understand your frustration, and I can understand why it would be something that you'd be like, ugh. We know she's not the funny queen. She's not the comedy queen. This is not her style. And now you're going to give her Snatch Game and a campy song to sing because she has to be funny. But I do think once you calm down and let me get and look at it again with a fresh pair of eyes, you will see how absolutely funny Gala actually was in this. She literally owned this. I thought she was so good in it, and she took it with, and she grabbed the bulls by the horn and she ran with it, and she kind of ate it up. But I just think Vanity I
was gonna bring that up. I was gonna say I think they did pick this song to make sure that Gala went home 100%, but I think that they didn't expect Gala to do as well as she did.
Yes,
because I was not expecting Gala to do as well as she did. Because even though I was really frustrated, I was still like, oh, Gala's still doing a really good job and really just leaning into it. But as I said, I was just really frustrated by the whole thing.
I was
I get
wondering.
it
I was like, I
completely.
thought it could honestly, I thought it could have went either way because I thought they both did really, really, really good. Because it really
Yeah.
depends on what you're looking for as a judge. If you're looking for, because I thought Gala was more campy, more funny, like more like goofy and like to the point of the song. But I think Vanity had a whole nother nuance and she took it a different way of, and I think it could have went any way because if you're looking for the campy funny, Gala won it. If you're looking for the nuance of the technicality
The
and the musicality, the
characterization.
characterization of the song, just how Vanity just hit it. Phenomena.
Yeah.
I also
Phenomena.
Yeah, it could have
I
went.
also want to say, for my Mexican people out there, all I was thinking while this song was going is solo, solo, Sanborns. Anyways,
Not that.
I'm sure everybody is like agreeing with you right now. Like, yep.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think it was just so good.
That's good.
It was just so good. I do ultimately, I if I had to pick a winner for me personally, it would have been Vanity, simply because I liked, if I had, it's right there for me, but I think I liked Vanity's characterization just a touch better than what Gala did. But I think with Gala leaving here, she is going to be known as the robbed queen of this season. And I think it's going to make people want to see more of Gala. I think this is only going to do positive things for Gala's career, if I'm being honest. I think she is coming out of this season as one of the superstars of this season, without a question.
Let's put it like this. The moment Galavado walked into that workroom, everybody was standing at attention. And that is how Galavaro is going to leave this workroom. People are looking at Gala because Gala is just freaking gorgeous. And I'm sorry, that pretty privilege is going to go a long way for Galavaro in her career. And she's just freaking stunning. And she had really good moments in this season that she walked away feel very happy and very thankful and grateful for the opportunity, which at this point in time, you already are a superstar. You already are. It's great to win, but now you are internationally on a global stage with RuPaul, with all these amazing queens. Ain't nothing to sneeze at. A lot of folks from your season, nobody from your season can say that. So she is already top notch. Like she even over Christian, and she won. So I'm just saying, Gala has no reason to hang her head in shame. The Mexican people should never be disappointed in anything that happened in this season. Anybody who made it on this show, y'all already won. Y'all already won, and you already leaps and bounds above some of the other people on your season. Go out there, take this opportunity, and now it's time to run with it. It's what you do with it. And Gala got a whole lot of pretty privilege to go behind it. Because, baby, I enjoy looking at Galavado every single week, and I will continue to go stalk their Instagram page just because I like looking at them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of people like me. Maybe knowing we ain't got a chance with Gala, but we just like looking at them.
Yeah.
Work.
And the redemption that she's been able to have this season as well. The redemption of coming onto this season and proving she is funny.
She is funny.
She can't do a damn character to save her life, but Gala is funny.
Yeah.
Gala is a funny girl that is also just drop dead gorgeous. And I absolutely love her. But sorry, David, go ahead.
Oh, your friend. Yeah, as somebody who really liked Gala in her first season, I drafted her. I've grown to like her so much more, even now that she doesn't have to compete with the Matrakas or Christian. I think that she's really made a name for herself, and I'm really glad she got this second chance. And I can say this, from the first 6 episodes, I've only given one full cup, and that was to Galavera. That could change very soon, but as of now, I think she has some of the absolute best looks this season,
I mean,
for sure.
as of somebody who wasn't that much high on Gala in her original season, I wasn't the biggest Galavaro fan in the original season. She has grown leaps and leaps and leaps and bounds in my head in this season. I was like, oh, she came back so different for me. And she was like my second favorite in the season. So I was like, I liked her a whole lot. Her and Queen were my second, like two second. No, Queen and Vanity were my first. Gala was my complete second. Like the improvement for me in my own eyes, I was like, oh, who is this person? But I did grow to love Gala at the end of the first season on Mexico. Like at the end, I was like, okay, I really do like Galavaro. I do like her, but I like her a whole lot more now. So shout out to you, Gala. You ate this up. You ate this up.
Yeah. Rocket had to come back to just express his disappointment with Gala's elimination.
I mean, look at his eyes. He looks
We're
so
one in the
sad.
same.
He's so
Very
sad.
much so one in the same. For audio listeners, I have a dog. This has been a dog the whole time. Sorry if you didn't understand, audio listeners. But
yeah, I'm so sorry, audio listeners.
Go check out the YouTube because there is dog content today.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's unfortunately for Eduardo, let's talk about the draft.
Can I before we get into the draft, can I say my thoughts on Gala? Because I didn't get to.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Say my thoughts on Gala.
I'm so sorry.
I was waiting because I had so much to say that I wanted you to finish.
Sorry.
I mean, my girl just went home. I need some time to really just give her flowers, which she already has gotten from so many people. And I don't need to just like keep adding more to it, but I will because I love her so much. And she just has represented us so well. And I am just so happy that Gala got this opportunity and Gala got the chance to represent us. And that I finally was able to see someone from one of my like places that I see like as such like near and dear to my heart. My second home of Michoacan, someone from there stand on this damn stage and really do the damn thing and really just come out as like one of the fan favorites. And it just shows me that like it really is possible to just like anything is possible. And like I'm so proud that Gala was able to show who we are and what our culture is. And I think Gala has to have become my favorite queen of all time just by the simple fact that she was able to stand on this stage and really just be herself and prove just like that Mexico doesn't fuck around. And I'm just so happy that she was there. And mi amor, mi querida, te amo. She just means everything to me. And I'm just so happy that we got to show our culture on this stage.
I was muted, but I said period. I love her. I do love her.
Yes.
Okay, now we can talk about
now you can get to it. Now.
Well, Eduardo's holding on now with a Pythia and a dream.
Yes.
So, of the people in the draft who have participated in the recaps of this season, Eduardo's in third with 42.5 points. I am in second with 47.5 points, and River, of the people that have participated on this season, is in first with 49.5 points. And that's all I'm going to bring up. So, next week, brew some coffee, y'all. It's an international roast. So, Kitty's about to get her third challenge win, huh?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And Vanity's probably going to go home now.
Probably. I'm sorry to be pessimistic, but that's just kind of where I'm seeing things.
I could see Vanity doing really well at a roast, though.
I hope.
I hope so too, but it just seems like they're not featuring her anymore. So I'm guessing they're going to find a way to just be like, yeah, you were not funny. Goodbye.
I'm more worried for Pythia.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel like it would be one of her strengths. Everybody else, I could see it. Well, Pythia and Nelania, probably would be the ones I'm most worried for.
Yeah. I'm a little worried for Tessa as well. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little worried for Alyssa. I don't know that Alyssa is going to be the absolute best at a roast.
Shut up with your no drag knowledge.
Santino, would you please shut the fuck up with your no drag knowledge mouth? Yeah, we know.
He's winning.
Hey, if Alyssa wins the roast,
I will lose my
ultimate
mind.
redemption for Alyssa.
Mhm.
I'll say that. Ultimate redemption for Alyssa. She did do really well at that stand-up challenge in All-Stars 2, though. So if she can set herself up properly, I don't know. But I am excited to see, even though I'm still mildly pessimistic about this season. Clearly not so much, seeing as how we just spent 2 hours talking about the episode. But thank you for joining us for this recap. The extra long, the director's cut edition of this recap. We will be back next week to talk about the roast and all of that lovely, wonderful stuff. With that being said, thank you for joining us. Subscribe, like, and share on the way out. Make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon, as well as our social media, and where you can get your merch, including but not limited to cup mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So, cheers!
Cheers.
I don't have my fan.
Nails, no breasts.
No breasts.
Oh, that's 3.
Oh, that's 3 words. Gala is gone.
La, la, la.
That's 3 words.